I'd like to share with you some Divrei Torah on a very interesting section of the Haggadah and some historical background and try to get some understanding of what this concept is. The Haggadah tells us, "Bchol dor v'dor chayav adam liros es atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim." In every generation, a person is obligated to view himself as if he himself left Mitzrayim, left Egypt. What's the source of that? And what are the ideas behind it? So let's look through some of the Gedolei Rabbanim and Gedolei Mefarshim throughout the generations and see what there is with this interesting concept for the Seder night. The source is the Mishnah in Arvei Pesachim and Maseches Pesachim on Daf Kuf Tes Zayin Amud Beis. The Mishnah says, and it's the text of our Mishnah, we'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. The Mishnah tells us, "B'chol dor v'dor chayav adam liros es atzmo ki'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim." In each and every generation, a person is obligated to view himself as if he was an Eved, was enslaved to Paro in Egypt, and now he was redeemed, and he's now been freed and is a free person. Ki'ilu hu yatsa mimitzrayim. He himself left Egypt. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, because the Torah tells us that when Klal Yisrael would ultimately enter Eretz Canaan, Torah tells us, so then v'higara to levincha bayom lemor, you'll tell your sons on that day, hence the mitzvah of Haggadah, v'higara to levincha, you should say, ba'avur zeh, because of this, asa Hashem li, Hashem did for me, b'tseisi mi Mitzrayim, when I left Egypt. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it for me. It wasn't only for my ancestors, for my fathers, for my forefathers who left Egypt in that generation, but it was even for us, for me today when I left Egypt. That is what the Mishnah tells us in Maseches Pesachim. This is nothing new, the concept of thinking back and trying to look back at historical events and make them meaningful to us, even things that have happened generations ago. The pasuk in Tehillim says, a pasuk in Ashrei, what we call Ashrei, chapter Perek Kuf Mem Hey, chapter 145 of Tehillim, the Perek that we recite 3 times a day, that we call Ashrei. Pasuk says, David HaMelech writes, Dor ledor yeshabach masecha, ugevurasecha yagidu. Dor ledor, each and every generation, yeshabach ma'asecha, will laud your deeds, will praise your actions. Ugevurasecha, and your might, yagidu, they will tell over. Every generation has to speak about the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the great actions and deeds that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did. What is David HaMelech teaching us? What is that pasuk actually coming to tell us? Says the Radak, Rav David Kimchi, one of the most important Mefarshei HaTanach, Rav David Kimchi who lived from 1160 to 1235 in southern France. He writes as follows, beautiful words, says the Radak, Dor ledor, follow along. Afilu im yiyu chaye b'nei adam aruchim, even if somebody would live many, many years, lo yuchlo lahasig b'chol yamehem, a person would not be able to understand and to comprehend in their entire life, kol shekein shem ketzarim, how much more so that we live in such a short life, to understand the greatness and the unbelievable actions that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done, and everything that the Ribbono Shel Olam has done in the world. We live such a short time in context to the entire life of the world, so to speak, for us to really have a comprehension and understand of what's going on. Kol shekain shehem ketzarim ela yesh lam lasos. So what should we do? How are we able to really give ourselves an understanding of the greatness, of the magnificence of the Ribbono Shel Olam? Ma yesh lam lasos. What can we do? Lefi kotzer yameim, based on the fact that we only live a limited amount of time. Ki dor holech v'dor ba. One generation goes and one generation comes. Tremendous turnover. Life is very short. So he says, Yisaper zeh hador shaholech. The door that is the generation that's here now, which is ultimately going to leave. Our job is we have to tell the coming generation, the generation behind us, Terem leches, before we leave this world, ledor acher, to the generation that follows us, hamasim hanoram shero'u b'yameim, the tremendous actions that we've seen in our day. We have to tell our children and our grandchildren the actions, the everything that the Ribono Shel Olam has done in our day. We have to tell them. And the great might, the great events that have occurred that we know is the handiwork of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the future generation should take what we tell them and they can add that to the list of how to praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Al Masha Avar, Shaloro, what they haven't seen. They didn't witness what we've witnessed, but when we tell them what we've seen, when we tell them what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done for us, they will put that in their minds, and that will be added to what we already know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done. We tell them to add it to what they'll see in their life. It's a snowball effect. Dor lidor yishabach masecha. Each and every generation has a requirement to praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Our generation has to tell the next generation, who tells the next generation, until every generation in totality will be able to see what the Ribono Shel Olam has done. That's what the Radak says. The Ribono Shel Olam, that is what the Radak says David HaMelech is telling us in that pasuk of Dor Ledor Yishabach Masecha. In order for us to gain the idea of the magnitude of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and how he runs the world, you have to piece together one historical event after another. That's the responsibility of every generation, to be the link in the chain in order to laud and talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's our responsibility as well. Now, as I mentioned to you before, this is a Mishnah. This idea of Bchol Dor V'Dor is a Mishnah in Maseches Pesachim. However, interestingly enough, there was a text, an original text of the Gemara that didn't have it as part of the Mishnah, but actually had it as a comment of the Gemara. The Gemara said, this is what a person's supposed to do. That is the comment of the Tashbats. The Tashbats, Rav Shimon ben Semach Duran, who lived in Barcelona originally, was born in Barcelona, and ultimately became the Rav in Algiers. He died in 1444, in the middle of the 15th century. And he writes in his comment to the Haggadah, as you see right here where the arrow is, B'chol dor v'dor chayav adam. He quotes the whole section that we have, and he says, Zos ha'halacha, this halacha, nemra b'gemara, is a statement of the Gemara. It's not found in our Gemara, but it must have been found in his Gemara, not as a section of the Mishnah, but as a section of the Gemara, interestingly enough. Achar ha-Mishnah shel Rabbi Gamliel. After the Mishnah of Rabbi Gamliel. What did Rabbi Gamliel say? That is part of our Mishnah. Rabbi Gamliel said, if you don't say those three items, mention those three items, Pesach, Matzah, and Maror, you didn't fulfill your obligation. That is part of our Mishnah. So in our text of the Mishnah continues and says that B'chol dor v'dor chayav adam, etc. The Tashbatz's text of the Gemara did not have the B'chol dor v'dor section in the Mishnah. He had it as the Gemara. And as a matter of fact, the Rif and the Rush in their text of the Mishnah didn't have it either. They don't mention it as part of the Gemara. They don't mention it at all, as a matter of fact, but it wasn't in their text of the Mishnah. He says, Zos halacha nemra b'Gemara achar ha-Mishnah shel Rabbi Gamliel lomar ki hu ze mi mitzvos ha'Haggadah. This is part of the mitzvah of the Haggadah. In other words, the Gemara is adding on to Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel said you have to say three things, and added on to that is Shachayav Adam Lomar Loas Avosenu Gal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Not only did HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeem our ancestors, Ela Afosanu Gal Imahim. He redeemed us as well. Shanamar, as the pasuk says, and we'll talk more about this pasuk later on. Vosanu hotzi misham, he took us out. There's a pasuk in Sefer Dvarim. Leman haviosanu el aretz asher nishbal avosenu. He took us out in order to bring us to the land that he swore to give to our forefathers. Ukvar amarnu elatina kashoel manishtana. We've already responded to the child who's asked much earlier in the Haggadah, manishtana. What have we responded? Ve'ilu lohotzi lo gaal es avosenu. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not take out, did not redeem our ancestors, mimitzrayim, from Egypt, harayonu v'neinu v'neim mishubadim hayinu par mitzrayim. So this section, says the Tashbat, is an addition to what the Mishnah says. But again, in our text, it is part of the Mishnah. It's not part of the Gemara. The Avudraham, in his commentary to the Haggadah, the Avudraham, Rav David Avudraham, who is a Rishon who lived in Seville in the 14th century, he explains the mitzvah. What's the purpose of this mitzvah? He did have this as a text in the Mishnah, and he tells us there's a specific text of this Mishnah that you should have. And he writes down here where this arrow is, right here, the Avudraham, Bchol dor v'dor chayav adam liros es atzmo ki'ilu hayatzu mitzrayim. The quote from the Mishnah, he says, Klomar, in other words, sheyire v'yabit ba'atzmo, he has to see, he has to imagine in himself, ki'ilu haya eved v'yatzu l'cheres mitzrayim, as if he was an eved and went out to freedom from Egypt. You have to imagine that you yourself were an eved and you went out to Egypt. V'zer sha'amar kasav, and that's based on the pasuk. V'zacharta, you have to remember ki eved hayisa b'mitzrayim. The Torah says you have to remember that you were an eved. So how do you do that? We have to imagine that we were an eved and that we were redeemed. Ki'ilu ata atzmacha hayisa eved b'niftis. That you yourself personally were an eved, you were an eved, and you were redeemed. The lo garsinan laharos, says the Avudraham. The proper text, according to him, in the Haggadah, in the Haggadah and in the Mishnah, is liros, to see, to imagine, not leharos, to make seen, to actively do something, which we'll talk much more about momentarily. The proper text is not laharos, ela liros esatzmo, to see himself, to imagine, to do something in one's mind. V'cheinu b'siddur Rav Amram. And he says, and that's the proper text that he has from the Siddur Rav Amram. Rav Amram, one of the first actual texts of Siddurim, Machzorim that we have, says Liros, not Laharos, and therefore says the Avudraham that he feels is the proper text. However, as many know, the Rambam's text is not Liros, it's Laharos. If you take a look at the Rambam in Hilchos Chametz and Matzah, in the 7th parak of Hilchos Chametz and Matzah, you see the Rambam writes here in Halacha Vav, the Rambam writes, Bchol dor v'dor, chayav adam leharos. See laharos? Laharos es atzmo, ki'ilu ba'atzmo yatza ata mishibud mitzrayim. A person has to make it shown, make it seem like, has to do something active. He has to do something, it's not an intellectual mitzvah, but a person has to feel it and do something active to show that he himself left Egypt. Shenamar, as the pasuk says, pasuk we quoted before from Sefer Dvarim, V'osanu hotzi misham v'gomer. Hashem took us out. And he continues, like we said moments ago, and this was commanded in the Torah, says the Rambam, this mitzvah of Bchol dor v'dor is a mitzvah de'oraisa, it is a biblical mitzvah, because it says, what's the pasuk? V'zacharta ki eved hayisa, you have to remember that you were an eved, klomar, in other words, you yourself were an eved, and you yourself were redeemed. It is a mitzvah in the Torah, says the Rambam. And then he continues and he says, Lefichach, therefore, kishesoet adam balayla hazeh, when a person is dining on this night, when he's having his su'uda, when he's experiencing the evening, the mitzvos of the evening, says the Rambam here on the top, tzarich lechol v'lishtos v'hu mesev derech eretz. A person has to eat and drink as he's leaning derech cheres, in a symbol of freedom, and a symbol and an action that he is free, doing something that shows the freedom that a person feels because he himself now has been redeemed and been freed from actual slavery. The Brisker of Rav Yitzchak Zev Halevi Soloveitchik died in 1959. The Brisker of, in his comments on the Rambam, the Riz Halevi on the Rambam, tells us this is the mitzvah of the night, the Iker mitzvah. He writes as follows: Dihine be'Iker ha-mitzvah shal daled kosos. The Iker, the main idea, the fundamental concept behind the daled kosos, Ayin Sham Barambam Perek Zayin. He says, I'm going to tell you where it says it. Look in the Rambam in Perek Zayin, Hilchos Chametz Amatz Halacha Vav. We just learned this halacha, Shakasav V'zel Lashono, and he says the entire Rambam that we just said. He quotes the whole Rambam. And then he says, here, where we're up to, Hare, after he quotes the Rambam, Hare Dezel Yisod, Hanach Tarte Mitzvos, Deheseba B'Kdal Kosos, the Yisod, the idea, the main concept, the foundation of these two mitzvos, of Heseba, of leaning, and Dalet Kosos, Bichdei Sheyira Atzmo Derech Eretz, Ki'iluhu Ba'atzmo Yotza Atam Mitzrayim. We have, that is the base, that's the concept behind these mitzvos, that we are showing, laharos, we're showing that, doing an action, that we have been freed. He says, V'ikar hadavar, the main idea, shemechuyav laharos es atzmo, he has to do an action to show ki'ilu hu ba'atzmo yatsa atam yishibud hu mitzvah min Torah. It is a biblical mitzvah, as we just learned from the Rambam. Kamosh Bazar Rambam, dal dover zetiva kadosh baruch hu b'Torah v'zacharta ki eved hayisa. Ella. So how do you do that? So the Chachamim said, I'm going to give you the means by which you can fulfill this biblical mitzvah. What's the means to fulfill this biblical mitzvah? Chachamim tiknu b'shvil zeh haseba v'arba kosos dishneihem inyanim hu derech cheirus v'zeh ikar mitzvasan. It's derech cheirus, it's showing freedom, and that's the ikar mitzvah. We're drinking the arba kosos and leaning because that's the concept of doing an action to show laharos that we left Egypt. The Machzor Vitri, Rav Simcha ben Shmuel of Vitri, who is the main Talmud of Rashi, Machzor Vitri died in 1105, wants to understand the mitzvah, and he very simply says, you know, the object behind this mitzvah, it's very simple. Very, very simple. And he writes just in a few words. The Machzor Vitri writes in his commentary to the Haggadah, She'im lo yatzu avosenu hayinu avad. If our ancestors did not leave Egypt, if Hashem did not redeem them from Egypt, we'd still be there. We'd still be in Egypt. That is how the Machzor Vitri says, that's the concept behind the mitzvah. The mitzvah is that we have to imagine that we came out, because if we didn't, we'd still be there. An interesting piece from Rav Yaakov Loberbaum, who is the Haggadah, in his Haggadah called Maisa Nisim. Who is Rav Yaakov Loberbaum? Rav Yaakov Loberbaum of the city of Lisa, lived from 1760 to 1832, is the great-grandson of the Chacham Tzvi, also known as the Nesivus. Rav Yaakov Loberbaum writes a very important concept in understanding what the object is, what the idea is behind this mitzvah. Such a beautiful thought, he says. He begins by asking a question. He says, this is the only mitzvah, the only time all year we have this concept. We have other Nisan that we commemorate, Hanukkah, Purim. Why don't we have this concept in other places? Why Dafka here? So look what he says. Bchol dor v'dor. Ein hakavana shechayiv liros ki'ilu hu yatz liros atzmo ki'ilu hu yatzim b'Mitzrayim. It doesn't mean that he has to imagine or show himself like he actually left Egypt. Mishum shim lo hotzi avosenu gam anachnu inim b'shadim leparo. And therefore, if he didn't take us out, we would still be enslaved to Paro. In other words, not like we just learned from the Machzor Vitri. That can't be the pshat. Because if that is the pshat, like the Machzor Vitri said, Dim Kain, Yomar Bchol Anisim, Shanasu Lavasenu, Shechayiv Liros Atzmo Ki'ilu Hanes Nasalo. Then we should say that by every nace. Kagon, he says here on the third line, Kagon B'nei Shalach HaShverosh, Shanigzer Al Kol Yisrael Lemisa. Right? The entire Klal Yisrael was Taf, Nashim, Taf. Everybody was under the Gzeira of Achashverosh and Haman. They were all going to be killed. Haman was going to get rid of everybody. The Im says the Ma'aseh Nisim continues. V'im chas v'sholom haya miskayim gzeiraso. If chas v'sholom Haman Achashverosh would have been successful, anu lo banu lo olam, then we would be here. V'chein b'chol hanisim shenasu lavos. You have banu mechuyavim levarach al hanei shenasu lo. He says then that would be the case in every nace. If the concept is, like we learned in the Machzor Vitri and others as well, that if the nace didn't happen, we wouldn't be here. So then why is it dafka by Pesach? Should be by any nace. And he continues and says, Ubehedya Amru B'Shas. There is a Gemara explicitly in Maseches Brachos, in the last parak, Shemavarach Shasa Nes Lavosenu. We have a halacha that if a nace happened to my ancestor, I have an obligation to make a bracha. The Khan, we don't make that bracha. If that was the fact that we're celebrating the fact that our ancestors were saved and nace happened to them, then we should make that bracha. We don't make that bracha. What bracha do we make? The Khan mevarchem asher go'alanu v'go'alas avosenu. Hashem redeemed us and redeemed our ancestors. Not hotzei sanu, not took us out, but go'alanu. He redeemed us. That's the word. He says, Umaskir bracha gam geulas atzmo. We mention in this bracha also our geula. The nace, the bracha that we say on a nace that happened, we say we don't make that bracha as we just said. But in this bracha, we don't only mention what happened to them, we mention what happened to us. Gam geulas atzmo, masha'en kein b'chol anisim. This is unique because in this mitzvah, on Pesach night, we mention also our redemption. L'chein nira, therefore I'm going to tell you the pshat, says the Ma'aseh Nisim, says Rav Yaakov Loberbaum. Devadaim hayinu osim ikar simcha lanes mashiyatzana me'erir shashibur agalus. If it was in fact that the concept of the nace was that we were redeemed from the bitterness of the exile, of the servitude, of the slavery, lo hayinu maskirin atzmeinu b'habracha, then we would not be mentioned in the bracha. We wouldn't mention ourselves in the bracha. Uvahanes klal, we wouldn't mention the nace at all. Us, we weren't there. We didn't experience it. Kivan shanachnu lo yotzana me'erirus. We didn't leave the bitterness. I wasn't in Egypt. You weren't in Egypt. So what's the pshat? Rak mibnei asosenu ikar hanes b'yitzias Mitzrayim hageula. What was the main goal of Yitzias Mitzrayim? Shehuma sheniknenu la'avodim lo yizbarach v'chnisanu l'kedushaso. The ultimate goal of Yitzias Mitzrayim was what? Was for us to become the Avdei Hashem. We were, his words are, sheniknenu la'avodim lo yizbarach. We were acquired as the avodim, as the servants of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'hichnisanu l'kedushaso, and we entered into his kedusha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of becoming Am Yisrael, Klal Yisrael, v'nchilanu kedushas eretzelyona v'tachton. And we were zoche ultimately to get Eretz Yisrael, the kedusha eretz, down here on earth, and the ultimate kedusha, which is up in Shamayim. Ubazeh anachnu va'am hayotzim shavim. And that is why we are equal with those that left Egypt. The Jews that left Egypt, our ancestors that walked out of Egypt on Tesvav Nisan in the year 2448, what was the goal? That they should be part of Klal Yisrael? We're also part of Klal Yisrael. That was the goal. That's the bracha that we were redeemed and our ancestors were redeemed. The geula is the acquisition. The geula, the redemption, was that we were acquired as HaKadosh Baruch Hu's people. I took you as my people. That is the ultimate goal. As we mentioned earlier, we do not say the bracha asher hotzi anu, that he took us out. That's not the object here. It's not that we were taken out of Egypt. We never went out. We didn't go out. Rak ba'geula, only with the geula. And then he goes on to say that's the concept of, as he repeats it again, the idea is ikar asimcha geula shu kinyan hanasa machmas hayitzia. It's the acquisition that HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out of Egypt and we became his people. That's the mitzvah of Bchol dor v'dor chayav adam liros es atzmo, to realize that we are part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's people. That's the object of that mitzvah. And Rabbi Yerucham Levovitz, the Mashgiach of the Mir, in his wonderful, absolutely magnificent Sefer Das Chachma Musar, says exactly the same thing. We'll just show you one or two lines. He talks about Inyan Chiyav Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim V'chol Inyanei HaSeder Heim Kamo Shegilu Lanu Bal Haggadah Shechayav Adam Liros Satzmo. The whole Seder is wrapped up in this one idea. Mitzvah Sasei Shayshir Mitzrayim Eine B'chtei L'saper Ma Shekar L'dor Midbar B'dor Heim. It's not just to tell us what happened in the Dor HaMidbar. El Kamosha Bal Haggadah Morel Adam Shekalachad Yisasek B'Yetzias Mitzrayim Shalo. It's a personal Yetzias Mitzrayim. V'Lotzia Harei Anu V'Neinu Sheyargish Kol Echad Ba'atzmo Es Hashibud B'Gufo V'Nafsho. Person has to feel his own personal servitude and slavery. That's the object of this mitzvah. And then he says, Inyan Yetzias Mitzrayim liyos lachem lelokim, v'liyos lo la'am nachala, to be Hashem, to be the people of Hashem. And that's the pasuk that we say at in Shema, Ani Hashem Elokechem asher tzisi eschem be'eretz Mitzrayim liyos lachem lelokim. Yetzias Mitzrayim was so we should be Hashem's people. And he says that's Tachlis Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's the first of the Aseres HaDibros. Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Tzeichichem Eretz Mitzrayim. Because of Rashi writes on that pasuk right here, Kidai Hi Hotzah Shetiyu Mishubadim Li. The Hotzah was that you would be my servants, that you were acquired by me. Shezeh Shemakirim Shabor Yisbarach Hu Tov Bilti Atachlis Mechayev Shemakirim Tov Labal Hatova Lios Olavadim. We are Makir Tov to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we are his servants. And that he says, that's the object of Yetzias Mitzrayim. The Tachlis Hadvarim Eino Sheyes Amnu Anisim. Not that we have to talk about the Nisim, which are important. Tachlis Hamuna Hu Gam Ken Shemizet Taitzei Abdus. The fact that we are now HaKadosh Baruch Hu's servants, that's the goal of Yetzias Mitzrayim, and that's Bchol Dor V'Dor Chayav Adam Liros Es Atzmo. Here's a beautiful idea from the Abar Benel. The Abar Benel is bothered by the fact that earlier in the Haggadah we tell the story of the five Rabbanim, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who are sitting around the table in Bnei Brak, and they're talking about the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So the Abar Benel asks a very good question. He says, Ma ro hashleimim ha'elu l'saper b'zeh kol halayla u'lesalek shina me'eineihem. How could they stay up all night? What was the idea of staying up all night? You know, there's a mitzvah of samachta b'chagecha. Person has to have simcha and yontif. Staying up all night is, not such a good idea. You're going to be zonked the whole day. It's one of the discussions we could have about staying up all night Shavuos. It's not for now to talk about that. But the person's yontif. It's yontif. Simcha. You have to get some sleep. How could they stay up all night? Says the Abarbanel, a beautiful idea. He says, Hinehu, Lafisha Alayla Zeh Leil Shimurim Lashem. This is the night called Leil Shimurim. The Yisrael lo lonu klal ba'osu alayla kishayatim Mitzrayim. The Jews who left Egypt that night on Tezvav Nisan 2448, they didn't sleep one wink that night. How do we know that? Ki chelek harishon mehalayla, the first part of the night, what happened? Mimena, his asku basiyas mitzvos apesach b'matzos u'rorim k'moshe tzivim Hashem. What would they do in the first part of the night? They were sitting around their table with their families, eating the matzah and the maror as HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded them. They took the seh on the 10th of Nisan, which became known as Shabbos HaGadol. They kept it for 4 days. They slaughtered it. They shechted it on the afternoon of the 14th. They roasted it. And they ate it that night, the night of the 15th, al matzah umrom yochlu, in their homes, secluded. They weren't allowed to leave their homes, something to think about. And that night they were eating it. That was the first part of the night. And then what happened in the second half of the night? At exactly midnight, what happened? Makas Bechoros. Paro gets up. He's going around looking for Moshe and Aaron. He tells Moshe and Aaron, get out. And then Moshe says, okay, we're going, but we're not going till the morning. But in the meantime, what were the Jews doing that night? They didn't go back to sleep. They started packing. They started baking matzahs. They were getting ready to leave. They knew they were leaving in the morning. So they're getting ready to leave. They didn't sleep the entire night. The Jews in Mitzrayim stayed up that night. And since there's an obligation that a person has to view himself as if he himself left Egypt that night, Lachain, says the Abarbanel so beautifully, Lachain ro hakadoshim ha'ela, these holy Jews, these Rabbanim in Bnei Brak said, well, we're not going to go to sleep either because we have to act as if we're leaving Mitzrayim. So they did kimasayim, just like the ancestors did. Shemiyad betchilas halayla, at the beginning of the night, his asku b'mitzvos hamatzah v'hamorah v'zecher Pesach. They were involved in eating matzah and maror, and they were remembering the Pesach. This was after the Churban, so there was no actual Korban Pesach. So they were remembering, and they were eating matzah and maror, having their own seder, k'moshe asu avosayim b'mitzrayim, as the ancestors did the first half of the night. But v'achar kach, in the second half of the night, kol shar halayla, they were talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim, which is exactly what the ancestors were doing in Egypt. That's how they showed, like they themselves went out. That's why they didn't go to sleep that night. That's why they stayed up all night, the night of Mitzrayim. The Netziv from Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, in his commentary, the Netziv who died in 1893, the Rosh Yeshiva of the Yeshiva of Alavishon, in his Haggadah called Imrei Shefer, says, where does this concept come from? He says, Ke'inyan ditznan b'Sanhedrin, as the Mishnah says in Sanhedrin, famous Mishnah says in the 4th parak, Shechayev kol adam lomar, a person is obligated to say, B'shvili nivra ha'olam, the world was created for me. Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world for me. Hachinami, same idea. The entire Yetzias Mitzrayim was for me. In other words, I have a responsibility. Each and every Jew has their own personal responsibility in this world. Kadosh Baruch Hu does everything for every individual, and every individual has to view himself as if he's an olam mole. He's a complete world. And therefore, Yetzias Mitzrayim was for me. Vato elos mizua machshava muvanas. And the goal of this thought is understood. Ki hi ba lagbias levadim b'derech Hashem. It's to give a person an understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If Hashem took me out of Mitzrayim, then I have a responsibility to the Ribono Shel Olam. I have a purpose. The entire creation was just for me. I have to prepare myself. I have to be worthy for creation. I have to be worthy that Yetzias Mitzrayim was just for me. The entire Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Eser Makos, Kriyas Yam Tov, the whole thing was just for me. Person thinks about it. If it's just for me, then again, I have a responsibility. I can't just push it aside. I have to do my part in Brias Olam, in the purpose of Yetzias Mitzrayim. Shenemar v'higadata lebincha ba'avur zeh asa Hashem li b'lashon yachid. Ba'avur zeh asa Hashem li. It's singular. Lo lanu, not ba'avur zeh asa Hashem lanu. He did for us. He did it for me. Da'afilu li levadi gam ken haya oseh. He did the whole thing just for me. You might think that, okay, he didn't do it for me living in the 21st century, living in 5780. He did it for those Jews way back then in the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Dor HaMidbar. No, don't think that. That's why the Haggadah has to say another pasuk. Lo asavosenu bilvad gal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, elo af osanu gal imahem. We were also redeemed. If that's the case, Bishvili, it was just for me. That's why Bchol dor v'dor, at every generation, you have to say it, because it is for every generation. And that is what's mentioned here by the Maisa, in this Haggadah called Yad Mitzrayim of Yitzchak Isaac Chaver. He says, maybe somebody might think that the concept of Bchol dor v'dor is only in the time that we're sitting in Eretz Yisrael, when we have a Beis HaMikdash, we have a Korban Pesach. That's when I have to realize that Hashem took us out. But if I'm sitting in Gullus, if I'm sitting in situations which are not conducive for Jews to live, or not comfortable for Jews to live, better said, maybe not. Nuh-uh. B'chol dor v'dor. He says here, B'chol dor v'dor. B'chol dor v'dor balataret shelo yiksha. You shouldn't ask. Sheteinach b'zman shebeis hamikdash hayakayim shaz hayu Yisrael b'nei chorin hayachayavim l'kayim mitzvos Pesach matzah morah lizkar ha'geula v'hamariya shayalanu aydei yetzias Mitzrayim. Only in the time we're sitting in Eretz Yisrael and Beis Hamikdash eating the Korban Pesach should we remember that. Aval b'zman ha'golus Yisrael b'tachlis ha'shiflus v'hashibud, in the time of Golus, when Klal Yisrael is not at the apex, they're not at the top, they're at the bottom, and they're being abused, and they're being harmed, and they're being dealt with inappropriately by the non-Jews. Maybe you wouldn't say B'chol dor v'dor chai v'al liros. Im kein kvar heim avodim kimikodem. We're slaves again. So what's the point here? No. Malahem lahaskir yetzias Mitzrayim lazeba. Baal Haggadah Lomar, the Baal Haggadah is coming to tell you no. Shebachol dor v'dor chayav liros esatzmo. Every generation chayav liros esatzmo kilu yatsa Mitzrayim. It's every generation. Makes no difference what the external circumstances are. But hevi raya mi pasuk v'gadatam levincha shemitzvazos noheges ladoros olam. It's a pasuk that's telling us for all future generations. The Omar HaKasav Sheyomar HaLashon Sha'asa Hashem Li B'Tseisi B'Mitzrayim. Hashem did it for me when I left Egypt. Afshu Lo Rabis Simchasan Shal Yisrael Miyamav. Even if you haven't seen the Jewish people in a state of simcha, nevertheless, Vatam Kilo Asavosenu Bulvad Kol HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'hu Ki Hefresh Gadol B'hen Golus Mitzrayim L'Sharei Golus Shenim El Aguf Bulvad. Avalol nefesh ki kavar nitna Torah Yisrael v'shmo Yizbarach nikra aleinu. He says there's a major difference. In Mitzrayim, we were not Am Yisrael yet. But once we left Egypt and we got the Torah, we received the Torah, we became Am Yisrael, then now we're a different people. And therefore, Yetzias Mitzrayim was so we should become Klal Yisrael. And that is Anu shomrim toraso umitzvosav b'chol eis u'b'chol zman, in all time. And that's the difference. Even if we're in a situation where it's not so conducive for us, it's not so comfortable for us, the circumstances around us, and unfortunately in our history we've had many, many circumstances like that. Despite that, we still have to say it, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out to give us the Torah that we should be His people. There's a fascinating idea by the Aruch HaShulchan. The Aruch HaShulchan, Rav Yechiel Michal Epstein died in 1908, the Rav of the city of Navaraduk, the author of the great classic, the Aruch HaShulchan, writes in Hilchos Haftorah, found in Hilchos Shabbos, where he's writing about the Haftorah. He has a problem with the bracha that we make. We make a bracha when we conclude the Haftorah. We say, he writes here, V'zeh omrim davar acher midvarecha, v'davar echad midvarecha, achor lo yashuv rekam. Davar echad midvarecha. Not one of your words, achor, is turned back, lo yashuv rekam, and it won't be unfulfilled. Very strange phrase. The davar echad midvarecha achor lo yashuv rekam lechora. Apparently, hach achor miyusar. That word achor is extra. The phrase would make very good sense, would make tremendous sense. The davar echad midvarecha lo yashuv rekam. Not one of your words will come back empty. What's achor? Back. What's the pshat in that bracha? Ein lo havana. Has no understanding. Listen to this unbelievable pshat of the Aruch HaShulchan. The Nirali, the Haki Perusha. I'm telling you, this is the pshat. The Zeh Milsa de Pshita. It is axiomatic. Shekol divrei haTorah v'chol divrei Nevi'im yiskaimu. Everything that the Torah said, everything that the Nevi'im said will come true. Imir Hashem. Everything is going to come true. Every prediction, everything that it says in the Torah, without a doubt, is going to happen. From a pakbek, but anybody who doubts that, Ein lo chelek be'elokei Yisrael, is denying the Ribono Shalom himself. Ella, however, listen to this. The lechora b'dvarim shekvar avru ein lanu to'elas b'divreim. What about things that already happened and we don't understand them? They're not clear to us. V'chalilahu kesipur ma'aseh. See, what the Aruch HaShulchan is saying is that we live in the physical world where there's a time frame. There is past, there's the present, and the future. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is above time, and therefore he's looking at everything kavayachol in the present tense. So whatever we think has already happened is happening as we speak. So listen to what he says. L'chora. We don't understand. We don't have any connection to things that have already happened. And just to say that these are things that happened, the past is still happening, as I just explained. Now, Kadosh Baruch Hu's view, it's all on one plane. It's still the present. Picture that idea. Bchol zman, kemo Yitzias Mitzrayim. Yitzias Mitzrayim is still happening. Shebchol dor v'dor chayav adam liros azatzmo kilo yatzim Mitzrayim. We're still leaving Egypt. V'nimtza de bchol eis hu Yitzias Mitzrayim. Yitzias Mitzrayim is constant. Yitzias Mitzrayim is not constant, is continuing. The world is continuing. It's all the present time. V'chein kol divrei hanavim shekvar avru lo avru. The words of the Nevi'im that we seem to think have passed have not yet passed. They're still happening. Again, from the view of Hashem, from Hashem's context. V'nitzosim tamid who fall in b'chaleis. They're always happening. V'zeu misigulas torasenu hakadosha. And that's the segula, that's the object, that's the treasure of the Torah, l'zeh omrim, and that's the pshat in the pasuk says, the Aruch HaShulchan, the davar echad midvarecha, and not one of your words, achar, from the behind, from the past, from the back, lo yoshuv rekam, will never be empty, will never be unfulfilled. Klomar, in other words, afilu osama omdim ata ba'achar, even those that are standing in the back, in the past, shekvar avru, gamhem lo yeshuva rekam. They're not going to be for naught. Things that happen in the past, we might not understand them, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu will not fulfill every single thing that happened, because everything is still happening. life is one continuous journey. Just a few more magnificent ideas here. Rav Sternbuch, in his Haggadah of Moedim Uzmanim, writes that someone told him, and I think he's quoting either the Brisker Rav or someone from that family. He writes here, he quotes our Mishnah, and he says, "Ubezochrani shenemar li pam echad migdolei hador zatzal shehamitzvah achi kasha lekayim b'leil Pesach hi hachova letzayer shehu ba'atzmo yotzei mimitzrayim." It's the most difficult mitzvah to fulfill on the Pesach night, to assume, to imagine, to try to make it in a way that you left Egypt. It's easy to eat a kazayas matzah. It's easy to drink arba kosos. But to fulfill this mitzvah, which the Rambam writes is a mitzvah d'oraisa, is probably the hardest, says Rav Sternberg, is probably the hardest mitzvah in the Torah. And then he quotes the Rambam and he talks about it. I want to show you the end here, what he says. The Achshav Mavur, after he goes through the Rambam and explains the Liros Laharos, he says here on line 39, the Achshav Mavur lefanenu geder hachiyav laharos kilu yotza ata mishibu mitzrayim. I'm going to show you the chiyuv, the responsibility, the obligation that you have to assume that you left Egypt. Shahakavana, what's the idea here? Shemitoch hislahavuso beleil Pesach, through his enthusiasm on the night of Pesach, b'shas amiras haggadah b'kiyum mitzvahs halayla, as he's fulfilling the mitzvahs of the night. It shouldn't be burdensome, God forbid, but it should be emotional, it should be enthusiastic as you fulfill these mitzvahs of the night. Nira ba'alil achol abam misvivo, everybody who's at your Seder table, shu margis simcha atzuma, shezachinu halayla legulei ar Hashem, that we have been zochet to the revelation of the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to conduct our Seder, conduct ourselves around our Seder table on Pesach night to show the greatness of our portion. Ashreinu matov chalkenu mana'im garalenu. V'zehu me'ikar ikre v'yesod chovas halayla. And this is the yesod of this is the main object and the bottom line of the obligation of the night. V'ashrei hazocher l'kayim b'leil haseder mitzvah zu b'slavusa kitikuna. And praiseworthy is the person who could fulfill this mitzvah in its proper way, to show emotion and enthusiasm of the mitzvah of Bchol dor v'dor. V'imkein ha-mitzvah l'hagil b'no sheyatza ata. And the mitzvah is to tell your children that you left Mitzrayim now, t'chsiv ba'avur zeh asa shamli. V'akavana hi. And what's the concept? What's the idea behind it? Shahaben yiresh simchas aviv isnaguso. The child, the children have to see how the father acts and his simcha, his enthusiasm, his joy, his great happiness. The yavan mizeh pulas hayitzia. And you understand what it means that we left Mitzrayim. Shaloas avosenu bilvad goal at HaKadosh Baruch Hu rakosoni imam. We were also partners in Yetzias Mitzrayim, and our next generation has to see that. Ubazel levad mekayim mitzvah kitkuna, and that's the way we're mekayim the mitzvah. Rav Shimon Schwab has an absolutely classic concept in this idea, and with this we're going to come almost to the end. The mitzvah of the Higana to Lebincha, this is found in Rav Schwab's Sefer Me'ein Beis HaShoeva, which is his Sefer on Chumash, and he writes, first he quotes our Mishnah here in line 1, V'higata lebincha, and then he asks, V'yesh lahavin, we have to understand, Eich nuchal lomar li, how in your right mind can you say li, b'tzeisi b'mitzrayim? I mean, again, the question that we've been asking for the entire shir. How can I do that? That is almost a physical impossibility. It's an emotional impossibility to an extent, but it's for sure a physical impossibility. I was redeemed. I left Egypt. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not redeem just us, but he took our ancestors out as well, not the other way around. He took our ancestors out and us as well. It's a joke. I did not leave Egypt. What's the pshat? How can you say such an exaggeration? Says Rav Schwab, listen to this. This is an absolute classic. It's not true. Says Rav Schwab, you want to know the truth? You and I left Mitzrayim, literally. Pshuta, mamish k'pshuta, as the words say. What does that mean? Look at this. He says, I want to give you a mashal you'll see on a person's body. Sheki yadua. It's well known. Shekol b'soro v'atzmosav he-mitzurafim mecholkim ktanim shemeschalfim tamid. Our bones, our skin is made up of small little cells that are constantly regenerating, constantly changing. That a person is constantly, again, regenerating, changing. The body, the cells that are on my hand, that are on my body now as an adult, not the same cells, not the same skin that I had when I was a youth. Im kolzet, that being said, despite that, kolzet yuchal hadam lomar beziknuso. Person could say when he's older, here, Yires ayara zo shalish and nishbro b'yaldusay. I broke my arm when I was a child. So this is the arm that I broke when I was a child. Yires ayara zo shalish and nishbro b'yaldusay. Shadaini also he also yat. It's the same hand that I broke when I was a kid. Kizoi techunasa shalabriya hachaya. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created living beings. Even though it's constantly regenerating and changing, and these are different cells. This is not the same hand physically that I had when I was a kid, but it is part of it is my hand. Mikol makom, kol chelka misyachsem eleh ke'ilu lo nishtana. It's still been my hand. Maybe the parts of it have regenerated and changed, but it's still my hand. V'cheinu gabe knesses Yisrael. And that's the concept of Klal Yisrael. That what? He says, line 24, Shehi bria chaya achuda kolelos es koladoros. Klal Yisrael is constantly regenerating itself throughout the generations. L'chein, therefore, gam anachnu yecholim lomar atzmeinu, she'asa Hashem li b'tzeisim mitzrayim. Pshuto kimashmo, take it literally. We left Egypt. I wasn't there, but Klal Yisrael as an entity was there, and therefore it's regenerated. Klal Yisrael as a unit was there. Ki also Klal Yisrael shayatim mitzrayim adayin chai v'kayim. That Klal Yisrael that was taken out of Egypt is still here. Maybe the cells have changed. It's a new cells on the arm, on the leg, on the body, but it's the same Klal Yisrael that left. The gamani biyosi chelak chai mehaklal kulo hare gamani yatzasi mitzrayim. And since I'm a part of that Klal Yisrael that left Egypt, he says, then I also left Egypt. V'shorish inyan zehu kamamorim zal be'esav. He says, I want to show you. Look in Vayikra Rabbah, and Rashi quotes it in Vayigash. Be'esav ksiv ba sheish nefashos. Uksiv bein nefashos harbe. D'chsiv vayikach Esav es kol nafshos beiso. By Esav, it says there were a few people, few souls, and he took all his family. Ubi Yaakov shivim nefesh, uksiv bein nefesh achas. D'chsiv vayikol nefesh yotze yerech Yaakov. By Esav, there were 6 people, and the Torah says, vayikach Esav es kol nafshos beiso, all the souls of his house. By Yaakov Avinu, even though there were 70 people, it's in the singular. Nefesh, Yotze Yaakov. Ela Esav, Shu Oved Lelokus Harbe. Esav, who's an Oved Avodah Zarah. Ksiv Be Nafshos Harbe. He's many different souls. Aval Yaakov, Shu Oved Lelokai Achad. Yaakov, who worships just the one God, Ksiv Bo Nefesh Achas, Ad Kan Lashono. That's Rashi in Parshas Vayigash. Umuvan bezeh. What do you see from here? Mashenema beven Russia, and that's what the Haggadah means earlier in the Haggadah. Mashenema beven Russia, as it says by the Russia, ulafisha hosi es atzmo min haklal, because he removed himself from the cloud. Ve'eino ro es atzmo kilo hayatzem mitzrayim. He doesn't see himself as part of the unit of Klal Yisrael. Hainu machma she'eino makir hachativa achash shel Klal Yisrael. He doesn't view himself as that one unit of Klal Yisrael. Ulefizeh, that's why it says chafar beikar. He denies in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because those that are devoted to the one God, like Yaakov was, they're part of that one unit of Klal Yisrael. V'nei kodem ha'halal omrim b'Haggadah, and in the Haggadah we say, as we've been talking about the last few moments, Bchol dor v'dor chayv adam liros loas avosenu b'levad gal el aposanu gal shanu tispachim legulas avosenu. We're attached to the gula of our ancestors. The achar kach mevorachim asher galanu. As we mentioned earlier, we were redeemed. The Golas Avosenu Mitzrayim Makdimim. We say first, Gu'ulasenu Legulas Avosenu. Our redemption came first. V'hainu Machmas Shekulonu Echad. We're all one unit. We're the unit of Klal Yisrael that began way back in Mitzrayim, but still exists today. Sha'anachnu Avosenu Kulam Shkulam Kegush Echad Ve'ein Mukdam U'Me'achar. It's one long unit of Klal Yisrael, starting back in Yetzias Mitzrayim or Matan Torah, Yetzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah, and up till now. It might be regenerating, but it's still the one guf of Klal Yisrael. Rabbi Wein, in his Haggadah, writes, Bchol dor v'dor, in every generation, the story of Egyptian bondage, attempted genocide, Jewish assimilation, and miraculous salvation is not one of past history alone. Everything that was in those days is in our time as well. This is really the basic lesson of the Seder itself. It's what the Seder is all about. We're talking about now, about pharaohs and dictators, about haters and slave masters, millions of Jews being alienated from their tradition and roots. Everyone, therefore, relives the Pesach Exodus experience in every age and in every circumstance. All of our oppressors are the same Pharaoh of old, and all of our countries and places of persecution are the same Egypt of old. Jews, nevertheless, were free people within their souls and personalities, even when physically in bondage and later exiles. The Lord took us forth from Egypt to bring us to the land of Israel, the land that he by oath promised to our forefathers. We also have to feel that the goal of Jews is the return to the land of Israel, a goal that in our time is realizable in a fashion that has not been available to Jews for many, many centuries. Rav Nachman of Breslov is reported to have said, "Every step that I take in life is meant to bring me closer to Jerusalem." We are all survivors, all having passed through the furnace of fire in one way or another over the difficult and terrible events of the past centuries. Thus, we can all truly feel that we have left Egypt. We were taken forth from there, and that we too somehow are on the way to fulfill the Lord's promise to us in order to bring us and to give us the land that the Lord took an oath to our forefathers to do. The Bchol dor v'dor is, as we've said, to reenact what happened in Egypt, to give us a sense of understanding what the goal of Yetzias Mitzrayim is to be HaKadosh Baruch Hu's people, to be an Eved to Hashem, to realize what it means to be part of the Am Yisrael that we have, that has existed since the time of Yetzias Mitzrayim. And with that idea, we should all be zocha to L'shana Haba Yerushalayim.